Hey everyone, so my name's Kevin. I am the general manager for Intuit's At Your Table here in San Diego. Tonight we're making a family favorite of ours. It's going to be tuna casserole. So I'm going to walk you kind of through the steps on how to do that one by one here. So the first thing I wanted to kind of show you real quick is we do need to get a pot started. I already have it going. This is what we call a rolling boil on our water, so you can actively see the water boiling. And then we're going to go ahead and start our egg noodles. So this is the type of egg noodle I got. It's a spiral noodle. It's an egg noodle. This is a 12-ounce bag of noodles. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add that into the water. First, we're going to salt our water just a little bit. So if you want to break out the measuring spoon, we can do about a teaspoon of water in there. You can eyeball it too. It's not that big. We just want to make sure it's not overly salted. So we're going to go ahead and open our bag of noodles here. Gently add them to our pot of water here. The really important part when we do this is we don't want to make sure we overcook our noodles. So we're only going to leave them in there for about 3 to 4 minutes just to kind of get them soft. Once we are done with our casserole and we assemble it in our baking dish here, we're actually going to put it back into the oven at 425 for about 20 minutes. That's going to finish cooking the noodles there. So while that goes, we'll talk about the rest of our ingredients here, okay? So a couple things we're going to need here. We do have our tuna, so I have 2 cans of tuna that's going to go with this. This tuna is in water. We'll show you how to prepare that in a second. I have a large can of cream and mushroom soup. When you do go to the store to buy these, this is a 26-ounce can of cream and mushroom soup. Most of the smaller kind of Campbell's cans are about 10.5 ounces. So either get 2 of the smaller cans or 1 large can, and that'll do the trick. I have 1 small bag of frozen green peas. It's going to be real easy to add in here. I have another bag of medium cheddar cheese that's going to be on top. My family secret is the Cheez-Its. We'll show you how to prepare that a little bit later too. We're going to have a little bit of black pepper. So now let's talk about some of the tools that we need to do this job too as well. So first I need a can opener for the cream mushroom soup. We're going to use a fork a little bit later for the tuna. I have a nice big stirring spoon here. I have a little bag so we can crush those Cheez-Its in, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then I want to talk about safety real quick. So we are dealing with something that's really hot on the stove. Both the handles on here are going to be extremely hot to the touch. So when we go to drain that pasta, it's really important that we have our personal protective gear on. And so here for that, I have a pot holder, 2 pot holders here for us to do that safely, okay? So again, my noodles are coming back to a nice little boil, so we're going to go ahead and prep the rest of the ingredients here. So the first thing I want to do when I open my tuna, and sometimes if you don't have nails, we can kind of jam the fork in there. Of course, it's going to not cooperate with me right now. But we're going to go ahead and open that tuna up. We're going to, again, be careful when we're doing this too. The edges on that can are going to be really sharp, almost as sharp as a knife. So we're going to go ahead and stick our finger in there, and we're going to gently pull back on the lid. Okay, again, this is really sharp, so just be careful. What we want to do is then go ahead and drain, sorry, my cat smelled the tuna here. Let's go ahead and drain that tuna out. We don't want a lot of water in that tuna because we just don't want to have the dish extremely watery. It's just going to be a little better. So we're going to go ahead and drain that out. When you're done, again, be careful. The can of tuna should look something like that, okay? So we're going to go ahead and place that off to the side. Open up our other can here. And again, I'm just going to really simply go ahead and drain that out. Cat's going nuts over the tuna here. Don't worry, he's well fed, okay? Okay, cool. So I got my 2 cans of tuna open there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open my cream and mushroom soup. Got my can opener. Simply put it on the lid. I'm going to go ahead and give it a squeeze till it pops. I'm going to keep my hand pretty tight. I'm going to go ahead and turn that top on that. Now this cream and mushroom soup is pretty ready to go. Again, want to be careful when I take that lid off. Again, that lid is really, really sharp, guys, so I don't want you guys to cut your fingers, okay? Just go ahead and wipe down right here. So that's going to be about ready to go. Everything else, well, let's start with our Cheez-Its actually. So Cheez-Its, I'm going to go ahead and open my box. Now, with the Cheez-Its, you can go as crazy as you want to. I'm going to grab about 2 handfuls of Cheez-Its here. I'm going to place them in my bag. Let's see. All right, we're going to speed that up. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Cheez-Its, I'm going to kind of close the bag, take a little bit of the air out of there so we don't pop the bag. Nice and sealed. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of crush that, shake it up a little bit. You want it to kind of almost look like crumbs, but not. We want some little bit of size on it, so we're not going to overly smash it into a powder. We're just going to kind of press it down with our fingers there, okay? Perfect. So as you can kind of see, it's just kind of roughly done there. So we're going to save that for here in a minute. So again, I've had my noodles now going for, I don't know, about 3-4 minutes. Again, we don't want to overcook the noodles in the water or they're going to get way too soft. So right about here, it should be perfect. We're just going to give it one little stir here to make sure we break all those noodles up and free them up from the bottom. I'm going to rinse out my sink so I get all of my tuna juices out of there. Go ahead and place my strainer in my sink, and then this is the really important part, everybody. It's going to be really hot. So again, make sure that we're okay lifting this. If you need to grab your parents to be able to help you with this, this is good. Also too, don't put your face right over it. There's a lot of steam and a lot of heat coming out of that, and you can really kind of burn your face. So I'm going to make sure that there's no one standing behind me. I'm going to go ahead and move it over to the sink. Again, as I pour it out, there's going to be a lot of steam that comes up, so we just want to make sure we're really cognizant of where our face is at when we do that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat here. I'm going to go ahead and let my noodle pot go back there. We're going to use that to kind of mix everything up here, okay? So now I have my noodles in my pan. I'm going to give it a little bit of shake. Again, we want to get all that water out of there. So I'm shaking, shaking, shaking. I'm going to come back to my pan. I'm going to go ahead and put my noodles in my pan here, okay? This is going to serve as also us being able to mix everything together. So next I'm going to grab my tuna here. I'm going to go ahead and get my fork, and I'm going to kind of just scrape the top, and I want to break up the bigger chunks of the tuna. I don't want necessarily one part of the casserole to have a giant chunk of tuna and everything else to be missing it. So I'm just kind of shredding the tuna as we go. There we go. Another recommendation I have when you guys do put these in the trash, go ahead and put the can in there, so when you take out the trash, it doesn't cut your hand if you have to touch the back. Okay? Just a little bit safer. So again, I'm going to go ahead and scrape my tuna up. Cool. I'm going to grab my lid, grab it really carefully. I'm going to place it inside the can again and put that in the trash. Okay. So the next what we're going to do is we're going to take our big thing of cream of mushroom soup. We're going to go ahead and dump that whole bad boy in there. Give it a little bit of hit. What we like to do in the restaurant industry, so there's still a lot of product in that can. We're going to add a little bit of water. Swirl it around. The water's not going to hurt anything in this instance. We're going to go ahead and add that right in. Again, this one, since it didn't have that little top on it, I'm going to be very careful how I pick that up. It's very sharp. The can goes inside, or the lid goes inside the can like that before I put it in the trash. Okay. Moving on to our next step here. So before we get any further, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of lightly mix this up. Again, that pot's still really hot, so I'm going to grab my safety goggles here, my safety glove, I should say, not goggles, they're not on my face. I'll go ahead and just mix that around just a little bit so you see everything's nice and coated, nice and creamy. So we're still going to keep mixing, but next I'm going to go ahead and add my green peas. I probably should have pre-opened, so make sure that when you do this at home, we'll go ahead and cut it open with a pair of scissors to be a little bit safer. Don't do my trick here with a knife. Probably not the safest way to do that, but we're going to go ahead and add our peas into that pot too as well. Okay. So then as I do that, again, we want to make sure that we are putting our safety glove back on here, and we're going to mix everything in there. If you don't want to use peas, because I know some people hate green food, you can use corn, or you can leave them out. You can do whatever you want. Again, we'll leave the creative part up to you. Mix that all together. Okay, and then before we finish mixing, I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to just open this up, and we're going to add maybe 2 teaspoons of black pepper. So now that I can see that when I lift up my spoon here, everything is really nicely mixed around. I have a little bit of tuna everywhere, nice and saucy everywhere, so that's good. So then the next thing I want to do, and this is where you might need somebody to help you. I have no problem carrying the pot with one hand, but we're gonna just be really careful. We don't wanna drop it. So if you need somebody to help you hold the pot and then you can scrape it out, just go ahead and grab somebody to help you real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape all this goodness out of there into my baking dish. The other important thing we wanna make sure, go ahead and talk to your parents, make sure that we have a dish that's oven proof, that can take the heat of an oven. We wanna make sure we're not using a plastic container, something glass, or in this case, we're using a ceramic plate. And then again, make sure we get all that fun stuff out of the bottom of the pan. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna evenly kind of spread my pasta around. Perfect, so we got everything nice and mixed up, and then we're gonna go. This again is still very hot, so be careful what you guys do with it. We're gonna go ahead and put that in our sink. So, I'm done with my hot stuff, okay? So, next I'm gonna take my bag of cheddar. And again, this is completely up to the chef at home how much cheese you wanna put in there. But I'm gonna go ahead and take about half of this bag of cheddar, and I'm gonna kind of evenly sprinkle all over my pasta. Okay. So again, my oven now is at 425 degrees, so it should be nice and warm by the time I'm ready for it. I'm gonna take my bag of Cheez-Its, nice and crushed up, and we're going to sprinkle some Cheez-Its on top. Then lastly, what I'm gonna do, because I'm a cheesy person and I like cheese, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this entire bag and I'm gonna go ahead and put that over the top of the Cheez-Its. Now it's important we put the cheese over the Cheez-Its so it stops the Cheez-Its from really burning as it cooks. And what's gonna happen with that cheese, it's gonna blister as it's in the oven. So I'm gonna kind of spread it around. Again, nice and cheesy, we'll just get the whole bag in there. Cool. And we're gonna spread that around. Okay, so that's almost our final product here. The last step we're gonna do, and I don't wanna keep everybody on the video super long for this last step, but again, my oven's now at 425 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and really carefully, probably a good idea, I know I said we didn't need this, but let's just go ahead and grab it again. Good idea too, when we do go into our oven, we're gonna hold the pot really steady. We wanna make sure that we're just putting it on the rack in the oven, the rack's clear. As we open the door, make sure there's nobody around you. Again, once you open that door, it's gonna shoot out a lot of heat at you, so we just wanna be careful, don't get our face in there too much. We're gonna go ahead and take that entire dish. We're gonna go ahead and place it in our oven. Go ahead and close our oven door. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set a timer for 20-25 minutes, and it'll be ready as soon as that timer goes off. Again, I don't want to keep everybody waiting on the video. That's the last and final step. You're going to have a little bit of browning of the cheese on top, but that's exactly what you want. It brings out the flavor of the cheese. And then other than that, call everybody at the table and enjoy your meal. So again, thanks for watching me today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful family meal tonight. Enjoy.